listeners are the parts about event-driven programming that are most crucial, but also the most confusing part, especially in Java. Listeners are kind of like, you can think of them like background robots waiting for some event to happen. So they're listening for events to happen in order for a specific code to run. This is where it can get really weird. Here you'll see people, when you see examples online, you'll see that people are creating classes that are inside classes, and it does get a little bit weird. I'm just gonna talk about the two main ways how this is implemented. So one thing to be aware of is that listeners, they're, because of the way they are programmed, there are methods that are required in order for a listener to be treated as a complete set of code. So there's a few different sets of listeners. There are action listeners, key listeners, and mouse listener. And so for action listener, it has one method that is required from an action listener called an action performed. For key listener, there are 3 methods that are required: key down, key press, and key up. And so using these listeners, again, you're going to go through the tutorials, but how we implement these listeners, that's what this video is going to be dealing with. And then what each method does for each of the listeners, that's for you to go for it, to learn that. Okay. So for the Square game, we have the component. We had something called implements action listener. So implements action listener, what it's doing is it's forcing the computer, when it senses that an action has been performed, it will it will move, it will check collision, and it will repaint. Again, here you can see that I've kind of put my code into different methods for the sake of organization, for the sake of readability, also so that it would be easier for you to understand. So that's one way that some people like to do it, is they take whatever that is that they want to be able to listen. So whether it's the frame or the panel, they say implements some sort of listener, and then they put the code inside this class. Another way that someone would create a listener is to create an inner class that also extends this listener. So public class my key adapter extends key adapter, and this is where in that code I dealt with all the key presses. And so where it gets, once you create the adapter, you can create an adapter, but again, unless you add it to the component to listen to it, it doesn't actually really work. So here in the game class, we can see that this panel, so in this case it was a panel, it would added a key listener, and then it created that it activated or created something that could deal with the code. So here you can see for a key adapter, it requires 3 methods: the key pressed, key released. I guess only those 2 are necessary. Maybe there might be another one. See, I don't remember everything. Anyways, so in the next video, we're gonna take a look at the basic frames, and I'm gonna demonstrate how we could implement a listener for buttons, and how do we put that into our code.